Hey everyone, welcome back. Let me know in the comments, where are you watching from today? I love seeing all the places you're tuning in from. To every new viewer, your presence means a lot. Thanks for being here. Now let's dive into today's story. My dad left me a toolbox in his will. My sister laughed, until I found a locked compartment underneath that changed everything we thought we knew about him, and revealed why she wanted it so badly. When my dad passed away, everything got quiet. Not just the house, but the whole family. My sister Amy didn't cry at the funeral. She barely spoke, just kept checking her phone, eyes red but dry. Dad wasn't perfect, but he was good to me. Taught me how to fix things, how to take care of people, how to stand up for myself. With Amy, things were always more complicated. She resented how close Dad and I were. Maybe because he always pushed her harder. Maybe because she didn't like being told no. When the will was read, there wasn't much to fight over. A few savings, some land, and a list of personal items. Amy got the house. I didn't care. I lived in the city anyway. All I got was Dad's toolbox. Just a dented old metal chest with rusty latches and faded stickers from car shows in the 90s. Amy actually laughed when she heard, "He left you that?" Wow. I smiled. It's all I wanted. I brought it home and placed it in the corner of my apartment. Didn't open it right away. Just seeing it there made me feel like he was still around. A few days later, after work, I finally flipped the latches and started going through it. Most of it was what you'd expect: screwdrivers, pliers, a hammer with a cracked handle. Then, as I was lifting out the bottom tray, I noticed something strange. The base wasn't metal. It was wood, and it had a seam. I pressed on it gently, and it gave way. Beneath the false bottom was a small locked compartment, and taped to the lid was a handwritten note. For my son only. Never let her see what's inside. My hands started to sweat. The note was in Dad's handwriting, no question. It wasn't long, just that one sentence, but the urgency in it felt louder than anything he'd ever said out loud. Never let her see what's inside. Her. Amy. I stared at the lock. It wasn't high-tech, just an old combination dial. Dad used to use the same type on his basement cabinet. I tried a few numbers, birthdays, house numbers, even the last 4 digits of Dad's phone. Nothing. Then I remembered something, the first car we ever rebuilt together. A 1968 Mustang Fastback. The license plate was a vanity tag he'd been proud of. MSTNG 68. I spun the dial, clicked it open. Inside was a manila envelope, thick, sealed with tape that had yellowed with age. Underneath that, a flash drive. And beneath that, a stack of old black and white photos wrapped in twine. I opened the envelope first. Inside were property records. Not for Dad's house. For another one in a different city. Bought in cash. Owned under a trust name I didn't recognize. Next, the photos. Some were of my dad when he was younger. Standing in front of that same house, with a woman I'd never seen before. A woman holding a baby. Not Amy. Not me. My heart dropped. I plugged in the flash drive. It was full of scans, documents, letters, receipts. Some were legal, others handwritten. Some were medical. Birth certificates, hospital bills, DNA tests. The newest file was dated just 3 years ago. Paternity report. My dad had another child. I sat there, staring at the screen, my mind racing. The report wasn't vague. It listed my father by name, full name, and confirmed with over 99% certainty that he was the biological father of a girl named Zoe. The mother's name wasn't on any of the medical files. Just initials, EM. I scrolled through the files, heart pounding. One of the documents was a signed financial agreement, monthly payments, quiet support, no legal custody claimed. It was clear Dad had been helping raise a child in secret, quietly, without telling anyone, including us. I looked back at the photos. One of them showed Zoe as a toddler, standing beside my dad, reaching for a wrench with a little grin on her face. It looked familiar, like something pulled straight out of my own childhood. How long had he kept this hidden? And more importantly, why did he hide it from Amy? I didn't sleep that night. I kept thinking about all the years we spent arguing over who Dad loved more, while he was out there trying to juggle 2 separate lives. When I called the number on the old utility bill linked to the property, I didn't expect anyone to answer, but someone did. A woman's voice, older, tired. cautious. I told her who I was. Her voice went quiet. Then she said, "He told me you might call. Not soon, but someday." She invited me to visit. Didn't pressure, didn't ask questions. Just gave me the address, same as the one in the property records, and said, "It's better if you see things for yourself." I drove out that weekend. The house was a small ranch tucked between overgrown trees, about 2 hours from where Amy and I grew up. Not flashy, not remote, just quiet. When she opened the door, I froze. She looked exactly like the woman in the old photos. Older now, of course. Gray hair, lines around her eyes. But her presence, calm, grounded, reminded me of my dad in a way that felt uncomfortable. "You look like him," she said, stepping aside to let me in. The living room was clean, warm. Photos on the wall, none with Dad, but lots of the same girl, Zoe. Birthday parties.
Piano recitals.
Beach trips. She looked like she was maybe 15 now. And in every shot, she wore the same crooked smile Dad used to flash after fixing something with duct tape and luck. "Is she here?" I asked. The woman shook her head. "Away at a weekend camp. I didn't think it would be fair for her to meet you like this." "Not yet." We sat down. I told her what I'd found. She nodded along like she already knew what I was going to say before the words left my mouth. "He wanted to tell you," she said. "He almost did. Many times. But he didn't want to hurt you. Or Amy." I frowned. "Amy?" The woman hesitated, then stood, walked to a cabinet, and pulled out a box. Inside were letters. Some of them were addressed to me, but most of them were addressed to Amy. I picked up the top letter. The envelope was sealed, but old. The corners yellowed, the paper soft. Dad's handwriting across the front. "For Amy, if she ever wants the truth." I didn't open it. Not yet. The woman, Emily, I'd learned by then, sat back down and folded her hands. "She was supposed to know," she said softly. "But something happened. Your dad tried once years ago." She reacted badly. Told him if he ever brought it up again, she'd cut him off for good. I felt my chest tighten. So she knew. Emily nodded. Not everything, but enough. She knew there was someone else. That he made mistakes. She just never wanted to face it. She believed it made her less important. I sat with that for a long time. I thought about all the times Amy acted defensive when Dad praised me. All the bitterness. The little digs. The way she took over Grandma's house the second she could. It had always felt like competition, but now it looked like something else. Fear. She'd been trying to rewrite the past, shape it around what she wanted to be true, that she was the center of Dad's life, that she was the one who mattered most. But deep down, maybe she always knew that wasn't the whole story, and instead of processing it, she buried it. Tried to control everything after Dad died. Tried to lock the secret away, just like that toolbox. I drove home with the letters in my bag. Didn't stop. Didn't think. Just held the steering wheel tighter the closer I got to town. Because I knew what I had to do next. And I knew Amy wasn't going to like it. I called her the next morning. Kept it simple. "I need to see you. Today." She sighed.
I'm busy.
"You're going to want to make time." She showed up 2 hours later, sunglasses on, arms crossed before she even walked through my door. "What's this about?" she asked, like she already knew but wanted to pretend otherwise. I didn't say a word, just handed her one of the letters, the one with her name on it. She stared at it, didn't move. For a second, I thought she might drop it or rip it in half. But instead, she sat down, slowly, carefully. Then she opened it. I watched her eyes scan the page. Her breathing changed. Her fingers trembled just slightly. She didn't speak for nearly 5 minutes. Just read, then reread. Finally, she looked up. "He said it wasn't true," she whispered. "Years ago, I confronted him, asked if he had another kid. He told me it was complicated. I told him to forget it, that if he didn't deny it right there, we were done. And he tried to tell you anyway," I said. "He left you the truth. In writing." Amy stared at the letter like it might catch fire in her hands. "How long have you known?" she asked. "About a week." "And what are you going to do?" I paused. "I haven't decided," she scoffed. "Of course you have. You just want to make me squirm." "No," I said. I want you to stop pretending Dad was perfect, and that you were the victim. Her jaw tightened. He wasn't perfect, she said slowly, but he was mine. He was never just yours. Amy didn't speak for a while after that. She just sat there, letter in her lap, her eyes locked on something in the distance that wasn't really there. I saw it then, not anger, not pride, not even denial anymore. Just exhaustion. I was 13 when he missed my first recital, she finally said, her voice low. He told me it was work, but I found out later he was in another town. Now I know why. I didn't say anything. I didn't have to. I always felt like I was chasing something with him, she continued. Approval. Tension. I thought maybe if I worked harder, became more successful, he'd look at me the way he looked at you, or talk about me the way he used to talk about that car of his. I let out a small breath. You didn't need to prove anything to him. He was just broken in ways we never fully saw. Yeah, she whispered, and I hated him for that, but also loved him so much it made me hate myself. I nodded. Then I did something I hadn't done in years. I reached across the table and took her hand. She let me. There's a girl, I said. Her name is Zoe. She looks like him. She deserves to know who he really was. All of him. Not the version we each built to cope. Amy's eyes filled with tears, but they didn't fall. Do you want me to meet her? Not yet, I said. But maybe someday, if you're ready. She nodded. Slowly. I think I want to be. And for the first time in years, I believed her. Because grief doesn't always shatter people. Sometimes it rearranges them. Months passed. Amy and I didn't become best friends overnight, but we talked more. Shared photos, memories, even laughed about things we never used to. There was a softness between us now, like the sharp edges had worn down just enough to let light in. I met Zoe not long after her birthday. She was smart, observant, a little shy but curious in the way that made you feel like she was studying the world and holding back judgment. When she asked if I knew her dad, I told her the truth. Yeah, I said. He was complicated, but he loved you, and he was proud of you. He just didn't always know how to show it. She nodded like she already knew that, like maybe she'd heard that sentence in different forms her whole life. I gave her the wrench from Dad's toolbox, the one with the crack in the handle. She smiled and said it looked like it had been used a lot. Yeah, I said, by someone who kept fixing things even when they were already falling apart. And maybe that's what we're all doing, trying to fix the pieces of people we lost, hoping that somewhere in the repairs we fix a part of ourselves too. Because legacy isn't what people leave behind in a will. It's what they leave behind in the people who keep going, even after